A long time ago, I used to think that whenever I would pray for God to do something, that if I needed help and I prayed for Him to help me, that if I didn't see the answer I was praying for, that meant that God was not answering my prayer. And that is so wrong to think. That I realized that, years later, that just because I wasn't seeing the answer that I wanted didn't mean that God didn't answer it. He answered my prayers in the ways that were right for me, that He knew was best for me. And it's hard to see it till you're out of your situation. And many times I can look back after you're out of it and you can see where God worked in your life. And it takes a little longer sometimes for God to answer a prayer if we aren't giving it to Him completely, and if we aren't believing in Him, if we don't have faith. That can hinder your prayers. It really can. If you don't have faith in God, that can hinder. And I used to pray. I remember praying a lot. And I don't want to say false prayers. That's a bad word. I remember praying prayers but with anxiety. They weren't peaceful, faithful, knowing that God could do what I was asking prayers. And until you can have the faith that God will answer your prayer and desire the outcome He knows is best, that can hinder your prayers being answered. And so many times the poem Footprints comes into my head because you can look back at your life and you can see certain circumstances that you have made it through, and you truly cannot understand how you made it. And there's only one explanation for that, and that is that God carried you through whatever circumstance you were in. And when you're in it, you just feel the negativity and the pain and the fear and the anxiety and sadness that surrounds your issue. And so when you're in your storm, it's hard to feel God working, but He is. And then when He takes you out of it, you can see that it worked. And I want to read that poem because it's so true. And then when you're in a storm, when you're in one of your life's storms, it helps so much if you can remember this and think of this. One night I dreamed I was walking along the beach with the Lord. Scenes from my life flashed across the sky. In each, I noticed footprints in the sand. Sometimes there were two sets of footprints. Other times there was only one. During the lowest times of my life, I could see only one set of footprints. So I said, Lord, you promised me that you would walk with me always. Why, when I have needed you most, would you leave me? The Lord replied, my precious child, I love you and would never leave you. The times when you have seen only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. And I have seen that many times in my life. And it's when there are issues that there is no way for a human to get out of it themselves, and then God will work and certain circumstances just line up. They just align perfectly the way that they're supposed to. And when you're walking through that storm and things are slowly moving out of your path and you don't realize it till you're out of it, that's God working. And whatever part of your storm you're having to go through, it's meant for you to make you better, make you stronger, make you more hungry for God's word, eager to follow Him. And it took me a while. It took me a pretty long while to realize that. But look back at your life whenever you think your prayers have not been answered, and look at these times that you've made it through these big events in your life and see it didn't make sense that you could get out of it. Didn't make sense then, but now that you're out, you can see. So I hope that helped. I love Footprints. It's one of my most favorite poems about God because it is so true.